Jake Morrison floated near the window of the space station. He looked down at Earth spinning slowly below him. The planet looked beautiful and peaceful. Blue oceans covered most of it. White clouds drifted across the surface. Jake sipped his coffee and smiled. It was a quiet morning, just the way he liked it. Then everything changed. Loud alarms started screaming through the station. Jake dropped his coffee and pushed himself toward the control room. His team was already there. Their faces looked scared. They stared at the computer screens with wide eyes. Amanda Price was looking at the radar. She turned to Jake with a shaky voice. "Commander, we have contacts. Hundreds of them. No, thousands. They just appeared out of nowhere." Jake felt his heart beat faster, but he stayed calm. Where did they come from? Past the moon. They are moving very fast. They will be here in less than 1 hour. Down on Earth, people in the military were starting to panic. General Linda Hartley stood in a large room filled with computers and screens. She watched the same information that Jake was seeing. She had been a soldier for 30 years. She had trained for every kind of danger. But not this. Nobody had trained for this. "Get me the president," she said quietly. "Wake up every military base on the planet. Tell them this is real. This is not practice." The alien ships came out of light-speed travel without trying to hide. They wanted humans to see them. They wanted everyone to be afraid. The biggest ship was as large as a city. It had weapons all over it. Weapons that made Earth's biggest bombs look like toys. A message came through in every language at the same time. The voice was cold and mechanical. It did not sound friendly at all. "Humans of Earth? You are bugs that must be removed. Your planet has things we need. Give up now and we will kill you quickly. Fight us and we will make you suffer for many years. You have 1 hour to decide." All over the world, people stopped what they were doing. They stared at their phones and televisions. Some people started crying. Some people prayed. Many people just stood still, unable to move or think. Sophie Chen was a scientist who studied the possibility of alien life. She lived in a small apartment in Chicago. When she heard the message, she laughed. But it was not a happy laugh. "They did not even try to talk to us," she said to her cat. "They just showed up and told us to die." The aliens did not know something important about humans. Throughout history, when humans were pushed into a corner, they did not give up. They got angry instead. President Victoria Knight spoke to the world from her office. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed she was ready to fight. "My fellow humans, we face an enemy who thinks we are weak. They think we will just lie down and die because they have bigger ships. They are about to learn something about humanity." She stopped talking for a moment. Then her voice became harder. "We will not surrender. We will not give up. If they want this planet, they will have to take it by force, and we will fight them every step of the way." General Hartley was already getting the military ready. Every base went on full alert. Fighter jets took off. Missile sites opened up. Navy ships pointed their weapons at the sky. Everyone knew it would not be enough. The aliens were too strong. But humans would try anyway. The hour passed. The alien fleet moved into position above big cities around the world. Their weapons started to glow. They were getting ready to fire. On the ground, millions of people held their breath and waited. The first shot came from a fighter jet over New York. The pilot was Ryan Hughes. He knew his missiles probably would not hurt the alien ships. He fired them anyway. The aliens fired back. But something strange happened. The energy beam that should have destroyed New York stopped halfway down. It flickered and disappeared. Alarms started going off on the alien flagship. The aliens had made their first mistake. They did not know that humans had been afraid of electromagnetic pulses for 70 years. Humans had protected everything they could. Every power grid had backup systems. Every military base had special shields. Every important system had extra protection. The alien weapons used energy beams. They were powerful and efficient. But when those beams hit Earth's magnetic field and all the human protections, something unexpected happened. Some of the beams stopped working, not all of them, not even most of them, but enough. Enough that fighting back did not seem completely hopeless anymore. On the alien flagship, Commander Zareth stared at his screens in shock. This was supposed to be easy. Humans were primitive. They barely had space travel. They should have given up the moment they saw the fleet. Instead, they were fighting back. "Attack harder," he ordered. "Show them they cannot win." The battle started. Human fighters flew between alien ships. Missiles streaked through space. But something else was happening too. In science labs all over Earth, smart people were watching and learning. Every time the aliens fired a weapon, it gave humans information. Every time an alien ship moved, it taught humans something new. Humans had always been good at learning from their enemies. They watched. They studied. They took notes. And they started making plans. The invasion had begun. The aliens thought it would be quick and easy. They thought wrong. This was not going to go the way they expected. Not even close. 3 days passed since the aliens arrived. Commander Zareth was starting to realize he had made a big mistake. The humans were not winning. His fleet still controlled space around Earth. His weapons were still much better than theirs. His shields still blocked most of their attacks. But the humans were not losing either. And that should not be possible. "Give me a report," he demanded. His officer Krell looked worried. "They are adapting, Commander. Every time we fight them, they change their strategy. They are learning from our attack patterns. That is impossible. They are a primitive civilization. They should not even understand our technology." "I know, sir, but their success rate is getting better. Slowly, but it is improving." On Earth, deep underground in the mountains, Sophie Chen was running on coffee and no sleep. Around her, scientists and military people worked without stopping. They were studying everything they could learn about the alien ships. "Their shields work on a rotating frequency," Sophie explained to General Hartley on a video call. "They are good, but not perfect. There is a pattern. We can predict when they will be weak." "How long until we can use this information?" Hartley asked. Sophie looked at her tired team. "Give us 48 hours. Maybe less. You have 24, Hartley said. "After that, we will not have enough fighters left to use whatever you create." In space, Ryan Hughes was learning things they never taught him in the Air Force. His squadron had started with 12 fighters. Now only 5 were left. He flew alongside pilots from Russia, China, Japan, and Brazil. Where they came from did not matter anymore. They were all just humans fighting for their home. A voice came through his radio. "Viper Squadron, this is ground control. We are sending you new information. The scientists think they found a weakness in the alien shields." "About time," Ryan said. "What am I looking at?" "A window of time. 0.003 seconds when their shields are weakest. You need to time your shots perfectly." Ryan laughed nervously. "You want me to shoot a missile through a 3-millisecond gap while dodging death rays at high speed?" "That is correct, Captain." "Understood. Viper Squadron, form up. Let us try this." What happened next would be studied for years if humanity survived. Ryan's squadron did something that was part math, part instinct, and part desperation. They flew straight at an alien destroyer. Their computers calculated the exact moment to fire. The first 2 missiles missed. The third one hit the shield at exactly the right moment. It went through. The alien destroyer shook. Air rushed out of holes in its side. It started to tilt. Its engines flickered and dimmed. For the first time since the invasion started, a human weapon had hurt an alien ship. The cheers in the underground bunker were loud. Sophie found herself hugging people she barely knew. General Hartley smiled for the first time in days. On the alien flagship, Commander Zareth stared at his display in horror. "How?" he whispered. "How did they get through our shields?" "We do not know, Commander, but they have shared the information. Every human military unit now has the targeting data." Zareth made a decision. Attack harder, target their cities directly, show them what resistance costs. The next alien attack was terrible. Los Angeles was hit directly. A huge crater appeared where the city used to be. Moscow burned. Tokyo went dark. Millions of people died in minutes, but for every human that died, 100 more picked up weapons. Farmers turned tractors into gun platforms. Teenagers built communication networks. In Australia, a rancher named Kate Murphy used a hunting rifle to shoot down a scout ship. It should not have worked. A rifle bullet against alien armor was like throwing a rock at a tank. But the scout ship's shields were down for repairs. The bullet hit a sensor. The ship crashed into the desert and the crew died. Kate stood over the wreck with her rifle on her shoulder. She spit on the ground. Welcome to Earth, you alien jerks. The aliens were learning too. They started changing their shield frequencies faster. They changed their tactics. They tried to destroy human command centers. But every change took time. And time was what humanity was buying with blood. In labs around the world, scientists were taking apart crashed alien ships. In factories that never stopped running, engineers were making human weapons better with alien technology. On the space station, Jake Morrison watched a group of human fighters attack together. They moved like a school of fish. Each pilot knew what the others would do. When one was shot down, the others adapted instantly. "Amanda," he said quietly, "are we actually going to win this?" Amanda Price looked up from her computer. Her face was thin from stress, but her eyes were fierce. "I do not know, sir, but we are not going to lose." In that moment, Jake understood something. The aliens had better technology. They had more ships and more weapons. They had more experience. But they had never fought anyone like humans before. They had never fought a species that looked at impossible odds and asked not how to surrender, but how to win. The war was not over. It was just beginning. But the aliens were starting to realize something. Something that would have saved them a lot of trouble if they had known it before. Attacking Earth was a big mistake. A huge mistake. Week 2 of the invasion brought something unexpected that changed everything. Sophie Chen stood in the wreck of an alien ship that had crashed in the Nevada desert. People in protective suits picked through the broken pieces. But Sophie was not looking at the technology. She was looking at the dead aliens. "General Hartley," she said into her radio. "You need to see this." 12 hours later, Hartley stood next to her, looking at the same thing. The alien crew had not died in the crash. They had been dead before the ship hit the ground, and the way they died told an important story. "They were executed," Hartley said, "by their own people." Sophie nodded. "Look at the wounds. Very precise, very professional. And look at this." She pointed to a small device they had recovered. Their last message was asking for help. They were retreating and calling for medical help. Their command's response was to shoot them down. Why would they do that? Because they failed. In their culture, failure means death. "General, we have been looking at this wrong. We thought they were just military, but they are fanatics. They cannot adapt. They cannot learn from mistakes. They cannot retreat. Every loss makes them more desperate and more brutal, but not smarter. They are locked into their way of thinking. And we can use that." In space, Commander Zareth was getting desperate. His fleet had lost 18 ships. 18. Against a species that should not have been able to scratch their paint. The Council would kill him for this, if he survived. "We will use the Scorcher," he announced. His crew went silent. Krell looked shocked. "Sir, the Scorcher is forbidden. Using it on a species like this is our only option. These humans are more trouble than we expected. We will make their planet unlivable. Take what we came for. Leave nothing alive." The Scorcher was a weapon of last resort, a planet killer. It did not destroy worlds quickly. It did it slowly, burning the air, boiling the oceans, leaving behind a dead rock. It would take days. The aliens would have time to take what they needed while everyone on Earth died screaming. The weapon's charging signal was detected right away. General Hartley watched the readings and felt cold fear. "How long?" she asked. 36 hours until it reaches full charge. Once it fires, we have 72 hours before the damage becomes permanent. Can we stop it? Not with normal weapons. The Scorcher is on their flagship. It has triple shields and defense systems. We would need to get something big inside those shields. Something powerful enough to destroy it from inside. Hartley looked at the display for a long time. Then she picked up her phone. "Get me the space station. I need to speak with Commander Morrison." Jake Morrison listened to the plan without speaking. When Hartley finished, he was quiet for so long she thought the connection had stopped working. "Commander," she said, "you are asking me to turn the space station into a weapon, to aim it at their flagship and hope we can break through their shields before they destroy us." "Yes, and my crew? We arranged for a shuttle to get you out. You will have 20 minutes after you set the course. Jake looked around at the station that had been his home for 6 months. At Earth below, still beautiful despite the war. At his crew, who were listening to every word, Amanda Price spoke up. "With respect, General, that is a terrible plan." Hartley looked angry. "Lieutenant." "Because you are not thinking big enough," Amanda continued. "The space station weighs 400 tons. You know what else weighs about that much? Every piece of space junk in orbit, every dead satellite, every bit of trash we have been tracking for decades." Jake understood immediately. "We do not hit them with one weapon. We hit them with 1,000. "Exactly. The space station has thrusters. We can use them to start a chain reaction, push debris into new paths, time it right, and we turn all of Earth's orbital trash into a shotgun blast aimed at their flagship." Hartley was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled slowly. "Commander Morrison, you have permission. Make it happen." The next 36 hours involved the most complex space calculations ever attempted. Jake and his crew worked with ground control to calculate paths for hundreds of objects, dead satellites, used rocket parts, pieces of debris floating in space for decades. They turned humanity's trash into weapons. Ryan Hughes led the fighter screen that would protect the space station during the move. His squadron was down to 8 fighters now, but they were the best pilots humanity had left. "This is crazy," his wingman said. "Yes," Ryan agreed happily. "But if it works, we will be heroes. If it does not, we will be dead, and we will not care." The attack began at 6 in the morning. The space station fired its engines and started moving toward the alien flagship. Around it, debris began to move, pushed by small explosives, pulled by gravity, guided by careful math. The aliens noticed the space station moving. They opened fire, but Ryan's squadron was there, flying between the beams, drawing fire, buying seconds. On the flagship, Zareth watched the human space station coming toward him. "Destroy it," he ordered. "Sir, there are multiple objects coming, hundreds of them. They are just debris. Space trash. Ignore them and focus on the station." It was the last order he would ever give. The debris hit like a wave. Each piece alone was harmless. But there were hundreds of them moving at incredible speeds, and they all hit at once. The flagship's shields held for 3 seconds. Then they failed under the sheer number of impacts. The space station hit dead center, 400 tons of steel moving at 8 kilometers per second. It punched through the hull, found the Scorcher's power source, and the flagship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the sky. On Earth, people poured into the streets staring up at the explosion. Some cheered. Some cried. Most just stood in silence. In the escape shuttle, Jake Morrison watched the station he had called home destroy itself to save everything else. Amanda sat next to him, holding his hand. "Did we just win?" she asked quietly. "No," Jake said, "but we just showed them they cannot win either." The destruction of the alien flagship created chaos among the remaining ships. Without Commander Zareth giving orders, the other ships did not know what to do. Some moved to defensive positions. Others attacked with crazy fury. A few simply ran away, jumping to light speed and disappearing. Humanity did not waste this chance. In the 3 weeks since the flagship exploded, Earth's forces went from desperate defense to organized attack. Every piece of alien technology from crashed ships had been studied and turned into weapons with amazing speed. Sophie Chen had barely slept in that time. Her lab looked like a mess. Alien parts were connected to human computers. Prototype weapons sat on every table. Whiteboards were covered in equations mixing Earth science with alien engineering. "We figured out their power systems," she told General Hartley during their daily meeting. "Their reactors are not that special. They are just really efficient fusion power. We can copy it how long?" Hartley always asked this question. 6 months to build a full reactor. But we can upgrade existing power plants in weeks, maybe days if we take shortcuts, take them, Hartley said without waiting. "What else?" Sophie's eyes shone with excitement. "Their ships use quantum entanglement for communication. Instant, no delay. We can hack it. You want to listen to their messages? Better. I want to send false information. Make them think they are talking to their own ships when they are really talking to us." Hartley smiled, which was rare. "Do it." In space, the surviving aliens were learning what it meant to fight a species that refused to die. Ryan Hughes had been promoted to major and given command of many fighters. His planes now used modified missiles with alien power, giving them range and strength they never had before. More importantly, they were not alone. The destruction of the flagship gave humanity 3 weeks to build more. Factories in Detroit, Shanghai, Mumbai, and other cities were making new fighters. They were not as good as the originals, but they flew and they fought, and that was enough. "Blue Squadron, this is Major Hughes," Ryan said into his radio. "We have a target. Alien destroyer getting the location now. Intelligence says it was damaged from the debris. Let us finish it." His squadron now had 30 fighters. They moved with precision. Each pilot knew their job and trusted the others completely. The destroyer tried to escape. It jumped to light speed and disappeared. Ryan smiled. "Ground control, target has jumped." Turning on tracker, that was Sophie's latest gift. The alien lightspeed drives left a trail, faint but visible. Human ships could not follow them through hyperspace yet, but they could track where they went. The destroyer had jumped to the dark side of the moon, probably hoping to hide and repair. Instead, it found missiles waiting. They launched from hidden positions on the moon, each one guided by computers using alien targeting. The destroyer's shields failed. Its hull broke in many places. It drifted dead in space. "Target destroyed," Ryan reported. One less destroyer. On what was left of the alien command ship, Krell had inherited a nightmare. Zareth was dead. The flagship was gone. The fleet was scattered, and the humans were hunting them. "Sir," his officer said quietly, "the Council is asking for a report." Krell felt cold fear. The Council did not accept failure. If he told them the truth, that a primitive species had not only survived but was now winning, they would order his death and send a new fleet. But if that new fleet came thinking Earth was easy prey, they would meet the same fate. For the first time ever, Krell made a decision against his training. "Tell the Council," he said slowly, "that we have found an unexpected problem. Ask for help and recommend extreme caution when approaching this system. Sir, that will be seen as weakness." "Yes, but it is the truth. These humans are not what we expected. They adapt. They learn. They use our own weapons against us, and they absolutely refuse to give up. The Council needs to know what they are dealing with, even if it costs us our lives to tell them." On Earth, President Victoria Knight spoke to the United Nations. The room was half empty. Too many people had died in the first attacks. But those who were there represented a united humanity in a way that seemed impossible a month ago. "We have lost millions," she said, her voice steady despite the sadness in her eyes. "Our cities have scars that will take decades to heal. But we are still here. We are still fighting. And we are winning," she paused. "But this war is not over. The aliens who came here were part of a bigger civilization. They will send more ships, more weapons, and next time they will be ready for us, so we prepare too. We take everything we learned, every piece of technology we captured, and we use it. Not just to defend, but to reach out, to find allies, to show the galaxy that humanity is not prey. We did not ask for this war, but since they brought it to us, we are going to finish it, on our terms." The applause was loud and long. In space, Jake Morrison and Amanda Price floated in a salvage ship, looking at the inside of a captured alien scout ship. The crew had left it during a retreat, leaving it mostly whole. "Look at this," Amanda said, pointing to the navigation system. "They have maps, star charts. This shows dozens of systems. Maybe hundreds." Jake studied the display. Some systems were marked in colors he did not understand. Others had symbols that might be warnings or claims. "We are not alone," he said quietly. "The galaxy is full of life, and the aliens who attacked us are just one species among many. Which means we need to get out there," Amanda said. "Make friends, find out who our real enemies are, and show them what humanity can do," Jake agreed. The war for Earth was entering its final stage. The remaining alien ships were either running or being hunted down. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had been forced onto the galactic stage. They had been attacked, underestimated, and nearly destroyed. It was the biggest mistake the aliens had ever made. Because now humanity was ready to fight back, and they had learned an important lesson from their attackers. When you attack someone's home, you better finish the job, because if they survive, they will not just defend themselves. They will come for you. 6 months after the first alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit, the war ended. Not with a big explosion, but quietly. The last surviving alien ship, a damaged cruiser that had been hiding from human forces for weeks, finally gave up. Krell sent a message on all frequencies, a single sentence that would be remembered forever. We surrender. Please just let us go home. In the command center, General Linda Hartley listened to the translation. She felt many things: victory, relief, and underneath it all, cold determination. No, she replied. Your ship will be boarded. Your crew will be held as prisoners of war. You will give us full information about your civilization, your military, and the location of your home world. There was a long silence. Then Krell spoke again, his voice empty. You would invade our worlds? We came here thinking you were primitive. We were wrong. But surely you understand we were following orders. The decision to attack was made by our leaders, not by soldiers like me. We understand perfectly, President Victoria Knight said, joining the conversation. And your leaders will be held responsible. But first, we need to make sure they can never do this to anyone else. Turn off your weapons and prepare to be boarded. The boarding was tense but peaceful. The alien crew, tired and defeated, did not resist. As human Marines took control of the ship, Sophie Chen was part of the first science team to go inside an intact alien ship. What she found would change everything humanity thought about the galaxy. General, she called from the ship's command center. You need to see this. Right now, the alien databases told a story that was both familiar and scary. The species that attacked Earth called themselves the Kreshtar. They were middle-level players in a galaxy full of civilizations. They had conquered dozens of worlds. They had enslaved hundreds of species. They thought it was their right to expand wherever they wanted. They chose Earth because it looked defenseless. A species with no light-speed travel, no energy weapons, no unified government. Easy targets. They had been wrong before, but never this wrong. There is more, Sophie said, showing a star map. The Kreshtar are not at the top. They answer to a group called the Sovereign Alliance. Dozens of species, all working together to control the galaxy. And according to these records, they have done it successfully for thousands of years. Hartley studied the map. How many member species? 43. Combined fleet strength over 10,000 warships. Earth just fought off one scout fleet. If they decide we are a threat, then we make sure they never get that chance, President Knight said from the doorway. She had insisted on coming aboard personally. Dr. Chen, how long until we can copy their light-speed drives? We have 3 intact drives now. With the data from this ship, maybe 3 months to build a working one. 6 months for mass production. Make it 2 months, Knight said. For both. General, I want every captured alien ship studied. Every piece of technology copied. Every database analyzed. We are going to take everything they brought here and make it ours. What followed was the biggest technological effort in human history. The Manhattan Project and the moon landing could not compare to what humanity did in the next year. Shipyards appeared in orbit around Earth, the Moon, and Mars. Factories on asteroids made components. Scientists and engineers from every nation worked around the clock. They shared information freely for the first time in history. Ryan Hughes was promoted again, this time to colonel. He was given command of humanity's first light-speed warship. The ship was named Defiance. It was a mix of human and alien technology that would have scared the Kreshtar if they knew it was possible. How does she handle? Jake Morrison asked. He was the ship's second in command. Amanda Price was the chief engineer. Ryan grinned from the captain's chair. Like a dream. Human speed with alien power. We can outrun anything the Kreshtar have and outfight most of it. Just remember, Amanda called from engineering. This is a prototype. If I tell you to slow down, you slow down. I would rather not have our drive explode during a jump. You are no fun, Ryan complained, but he was smiling. Defiance's first mission was simple but important. They would jump to a nearby star system that the aliens had marked as a supply depot. The goal was to gather information, not fight. But everyone knew fighting was possible. The jump itself was terrifying and exciting. One moment they were in Earth orbit. The next, space twisted, reality bent, and they were 10 light-years away. The journey that should have taken decades happened in seconds. Lightspeed drive stable, Amanda reported. We are in one piece. Scanning for contacts, the tactical officer said. I am reading multiple ships. Some Kreshtar, but also others. Unknown types, other species, Jake said quietly. This is not just a Kreshtar operation. What they found in that system changed humanity's understanding of the galaxy. The depot was not a military base. It was a processing center where conquered people were sorted. Some were made slaves. Some were experimented on. Some simply disappeared. Ryan watched the scans with growing horror. They are not just conquerors. They are slavers. They commit genocide. And they almost did it to us, Jake said. The decision was made without debate. Defiance could not save everyone in that system, but they could make a statement. Using the captured alien communication codes, Ryan sent a message on all frequencies. Attention all ships. This is the human warship Defiance. The Sovereign Alliance made a mistake when they attacked Earth. We survived. We adapted, we won. And now we are here to tell you that the galaxy has a new player. One that does not tolerate slavery or genocide. He paused. To the prisoners in this system, hold on. Help is coming. To the guards, start running. You have a 10-minute head start before we start shooting. The aliens in the system scattered. Some jumped to light speed immediately. Others tried to fight. It was a mistake. Defiance cut through their defenses easily, targeting weapons and engines, crippling without destroying. When the dust settled, the depot was in human hands. The freed prisoners from a dozen different species looked at their rescuers with gratitude and fear. We are not your new masters, Jake told them through translators. We are your allies. If you want to fight back against the people who did this to you, we will help. If you just want to go home, we will provide transport. Your choice. Most chose to fight. Back on Earth, President Knight received the report and nodded with satisfaction. So it begins, she said. The Sovereign Alliance wanted to add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they created their worst nightmare. General Hartley stood beside her, watching new warships being built in orbit. Ma'am, we are about to turn this galaxy upside down. Good, Knight said. The Sovereign Alliance has ruled through fear and force for long enough. Time to show them what happens when they pick on someone who fights back. The war was over. Humanity had won. But the real fight was just beginning. The galaxy was about to learn what the Kreshitar discovered the hard way. Attacking Earth was a big mistake. A huge mistake. 1 year after the invasion, Earth had changed completely. Cities that were destroyed were being rebuilt. But not the way they were before. Now they had alien technology mixed with human ideas. Buildings used force fields for windows. Cars floated on anti-gravity systems. Power came from fusion reactors that would have seemed impossible a year ago. But the biggest changes were not on Earth. They were in space. The orbital shipyards now stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Dozens of warships were being built at the same time. Some were pure human designs. Others were copies of alien ships. The best ones were hybrids that combined the strengths of both. Captain Ryan Hughes, now promoted to admiral, stood on the bridge of the new flagship called Victory. It was 10 times larger than Defiance. It carried enough firepower to level a planet. But more importantly, it carried hope. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from the Sovereign Alliance, his communication officer said. Ryan felt his jaw tighten. Put it through. The face that appeared on the screen was not Kreshitar. It was something else. Something that looked like a cross between a lizard and a bird. Its voice came through the translator as smooth and cold. I am High Chancellor Vexril of the Sovereign Alliance. We have observed your recent actions with interest. The destruction of the Kreshitar fleet, the liberation of the processing facility, your rapid technological advancement. All very impressive for a species so young. Ryan said nothing. He waited. The Chancellor continued. The Kreshitar acted without authorization. They were punished for their failure. We wish to extend an offer of peace to humanity. Join the Sovereign Alliance as a junior member. Accept our guidance. In return, we will share our knowledge and protect you from other threats. Ryan almost laughed. Let me understand this correctly. Your people attacked us without warning, killed millions of our citizens, tried to destroy our planet, and now you want us to join you as junior members? The Chancellor's expression did not change. The Kreshitar's actions were regrettable, but they are one species among 43. The Alliance has maintained peace and order in this galaxy for millennia. Your species shows promise. It would be foolish to remain isolated when you could benefit from our protection. Protection, Ryan repeated. Like you protected the species you enslaved? Like you protected the worlds you conquered? Now the Chancellor's eyes narrowed. Those species were not strong enough to defend themselves. In this galaxy, the strong survive and the weak serve. It is the natural order. You humans proved your strength. That is why we offer you membership instead of subjugation. Ryan leaned forward. Here is humanity's response to your offer. Go to hell. The Chancellor finally showed emotion. Anger. You dare refuse the Sovereign Alliance? You are one planet. We are 43 civilizations with thousands of years of experience. You cannot possibly believe you can stand against us. Watch us, Ryan said, and cut the transmission. On Earth, in the rebuilt White House, President Knight held an emergency meeting. Around the table sat General Hartley, Sophie Chen, Jake Morrison, Amanda Price, and representatives from every major nation. The Alliance just declared war on us without actually saying the words, Hartley said. Their fleet is already moving. Our scouts detected them an hour ago. How many ships? Knight asked. 500. Maybe more. They will be here in 3 weeks. The room went quiet. 500 ships. Even with all their improvements, Earth only had 80 warships ready for combat. The math was not in their favor. Sophie broke the silence. We have one advantage they do not know about. Everyone turned to look at her. She pulled up a holographic display. For the past 6 months, we have been sending out ships. Not warships. Science vessels. Explorer ships. We have made contact with 23 other species. Species that the Sovereign Alliance conquered or enslaved. And they all want revenge. Are you saying we have allies? Knight asked. More than allies. We have an entire coalition of species ready to fight. They have been waiting for someone to stand up to the Alliance. We gave them hope. Now they are ready to give us ships, technology, and soldiers. Jake Morrison smiled. So we do not face 500 ships alone, not even close. Combined fleet strength is over 300 ships. Not as many as the Alliance, but enough to make this a real fight. President Knight stood up. Then we have 3 weeks to prepare for the biggest battle in human history. General, get every ship ready. Dr. Chen, make sure our new allies know where to meet us. Admiral Hughes, you will command the combined fleet. Show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity. 3 weeks later, the Sovereign Alliance fleet arrived at Earth expecting an easy victory. What they found instead was a wall of ships from 24 species, all united under one banner. All ready to fight. Admiral Ryan Hughes broadcast a message to both his fleet and the enemy. This is Admiral Hughes of the human fleet. To my allies, thank you for standing with us. To the Sovereign Alliance, you made a mistake. You thought you could break us. You thought you could make us afraid. You were wrong. He paused, looking at Earth rotating peacefully behind him. We are humans. We do not break. We do not surrender, and we do not forget. You attacked our home. You killed our people. Now you will learn what that costs. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations across the galaxy. It lasted for 3 days. Ships from both sides were destroyed. Heroes emerged from species that had been enslaved for centuries. And in the end, when the Alliance fleet retreated with less than half their ships remaining, everyone knew the galaxy had changed forever. The Sovereign Alliance was not destroyed. They were still powerful, but they were no longer unstoppable. And more importantly, they were no longer alone at the top. Humanity and their allies formed a new coalition. They called it the Free Worlds Alliance. Their mission was simple: protect each other, help the oppressed, and make sure that no species would ever again face the choice between slavery and extinction. On Earth, 1 year after the Great Battle, Sophie Chen stood in the same spot where she had first heard the alien invasion message. But instead of fear, she felt pride. The planet below was scarred but healing. The stars above were no longer unknown and terrifying. They were full of friends and possibilities. Her cat rubbed against her leg. She picked it up and smiled. Remember when I said they did not even try to talk to us? Well, now everyone wants to talk to us. Turns out attacking Earth was the biggest mistake in galactic history. In space, aboard the flagship Victory, Admiral Ryan Hughes looked at his diverse crew. Humans working alongside aliens who were once enemies, all of them united by a common goal. All of them proof that the galaxy could be better. Jake Morrison approached him with a data pad. New orders from Earth, sir. We are to escort a diplomatic mission to the former Alliance capital. Apparently they want to negotiate. Ryan grinned. Negotiate. That is a word I never thought I would hear from them. Amanda Price joined them, wiping oil from her hands. The engines are running perfectly. Where are we headed next? Forward, Ryan said simply. Always forward. The aliens made a mistake when they attacked Earth. They woke up a sleeping giant, and now that we are awake, we are going to make sure the galaxy becomes a better place. For everyone. The three of them stood together looking out at the stars. Behind them was Earth, the planet that refused to die. Ahead of them was a galaxy full of challenges and opportunities, and around them was a crew ready for anything. The invasion had been brutal. The war had been costly, but humanity had survived. More than survived. They had thrived. And in doing so, they had given hope to countless other species that freedom was possible. The Sovereign Alliance had ruled through fear for thousands of years. They thought they could do the same to Earth, but they learned something that day. Something that every bully eventually learns. When you push someone too far, when you threaten everything they love, when you give them no choice but to fight, you better be prepared for what comes next, because humanity does not just fight to survive. They fight to win. And once they start winning, they do not stop. Attacking Earth was a mistake. A big mistake. A huge mistake. And the galaxy would never be the same because of it.